So let's talk about how to run an effective retrospective event. Hi, my name is Chris. I'm a seasoned Scrum Master. On my channel, Everything Agile, I try to share my Agile knowledge with potential Scrum Masters out there and even practicing Scrum Masters so you can all be as successful as you can be with your teams and with your organization as a whole. So I'm going to share with you from my experience how I've always run my retrospective events for my teams. So I have the structure where I do an icebreaker, I talk about a retro disclaimer, I give a retro disclaimer, I also talk about a few key metrics that my organization always pays attention to, and I also now run the retrospective event following one of the techniques. Then I make sure we come up with our improvement action items to implement in the next sprint. Okay, so that's the big picture. So again, how do I run my retrospectives for my teams? I always start with an icebreaker, just to make sure everybody is in a happy mode, to say the least, and engaged and excited to go through this event for about close to 50 minutes or an hour. So I start with an icebreaker, which could be a joke. I have this little joke book which I always use, and I can read a joke. For example, let me read a joke to you, and please put down in the comments what you think the answer is. So when I kick off the event, if I'm going with jokes, I say, okay, you're gonna type in the comments what you think the answer to this joke or this riddle is. And an example is, what do you get when you train your chicken to wake up every morning? What do you get when you train your chicken to wake up every morning? Let me know your answer in the comment section. And then here's another joke for you. Why did the policeman give the sheep a ticket? Why did the policeman give the sheep a ticket? Last joke. What do you get when you cross a shellfish and a rabbit? What do you get when you cross a shellfish and a rabbit? So I do something like that, and we get some laughs out of it based on the answers that, or on the Zoom chat, for example. And then I can also do 2 truths and 1 lie. For that one, I always prepare ahead of time. Like on a spreadsheet, I put down everybody's name, and like 2 days ahead of the retro, I say, hey, please populate the spreadsheet with 2 truths about you and 1 lie about you. Then during the retro, for the first 5 minutes, we do an icebreaker, and then I call up, I go down the list and I read the 2 truths and the 1 lie. The team member, then we see who can identify what the lie is first, and then at times it might be strange, something we weren't aware of, and then it becomes funny and we laugh about it, and then we also use that opportunity to learn more about each other at a personal level, and that creates more team spirit. Then I can also do a virtual scavenger hunt, because I mostly work remotely. Then I can say, hey, please run around and get 2 pictures of yourself as a teenager or as a baby. That usually cracks everyone up, because we see how funny or people looked. They look nothing like what they look today, and then they kind of give a backstory on where that picture was taken and what was going on in their lives of their parents at that time, if they mind to share, and just opportunities to get to know each other at a more deeper level. That makes for a good team spirit, So we do that for about 10 minutes, and then I move on to the next thing, which is a retro disclaimer, because we have the mindset of consistently reminding ourselves that we are in an agile environment, and we favor team performance rather than individual performance, because in the traditional way, which most organizations, including mine, were also trying to get out of, is have that mindset that it's the team effort, and the whatever metrics we are looking at is not to punish anyone or to reward any individual per se, but is to learn, see where we can improve and help the team grow, help the company get its ROI and satisfy our clients. So with that mindset, I always have a disclaimer I read out to the teams, to the team members during the retro. So I'm always like, hey, irrespective of what we discover in the course of our conversation during this retro, everything that comes up is based on, we did it based on what we knew at the time, the resources that were available to us, the knowledge we had, and the tools we were using at the time. And there's no judgment here, you know. So something like that to set the stage and let everyone know that, hey, there is no judgment here, and we are all just trying to see how we can improve on what we did in the last sprint so that we can have an even better sprint in the future in terms of our people interactions, in terms of the processes we used, in terms of the tools we used, in terms of our definition of done, how well did we finish our stories to meet definition of done. So those are the things I try to let my team know, to have at the back of their minds as we're going through this conversation during the retro. So I take about 2 minutes and I put that disclaimer. It's usually at the top of my mural most of the time. Sometimes I use the Jamboard, and I have that disclaimer right at the top of the retro technique I'm going to use, which I'll get to in a bit. Then I also take about 10 minutes and pull up some metrics which are pulled up before time that affects the last sprint, and put on a nice slide deck, you know, like 2 slides. And I usually discuss some big agile metrics that I pull up from one of the tools we use known as Tableau, and I also pull up the breakdown chart from Jira. Then the key metrics I discuss with my team from Tableau, one of the big agile metrics is called the plant completion rate. So what is plant completion rate? So I try to explain to my team that, hey, we plant 10 stories, we had a total of about 20 story points, for example, and we actually completed and the PO accepted maybe 8. That's 80%. And it had 18 story points, for example. So I put that out there. Okay, our completion rate was 80%, for example. If we hit 100, the better. How sweet would it be to finish up all the stories we planned and have 100% of the planned completion rate. Then the completion rate itself talks about how many stories did we complete, both planned and unplanned. Because, you know, we're agile, things change, things come up, the PO can come up with stories that have been reprioritized, and hey, the client needs this to be done faster. So we might do a switch out of a story on the board that is still in the to-do column, and pull in the new story that has, we pulled it maybe midway in the sprint, we pulled it in, did we complete it? So that is completion rate. So irrespective of whether I was planned or not, did we finish up all the stories? What is the percentage? I share that metric with the team. Then if we did not complete all, why? If we completed all, how, what are the strengths that we had to actually make that happen, so we can congratulate ourselves and solidify all those skills and talents. Then feature cycle time is another metric that we pull up, and my organization leadership, they look at this as well. So as a policy, we decided that 45 days is the max number of days for an epic to exist. So, and these epics are just big user stories, right? And we usually have each user story linked to an epic. So as we're working user stories, we are increasing the completion rate, the completion percentage of that epic. So during the retro, I say, hey, this feature, it's the feature days. This feature should have cycled within 45 days. but we are on the 45-day mark of this particular epic, or we are on this day or 30th day to complete this epic. And I also look at feature days as well. Then those that were completed during that sprint, I look at the cycle time of that and say, hey, we had to complete this feature within 45 days, but we actually completed it in 60 days. Why? Did we size it wrong? Or was it too large? How could we have sliced it better such that we're able to complete it within 45 days max? So another metric I always pull up is the burn down chart. How do we complete our burn? How did we complete our stories during the course of the sprint? Did we get all our stories accepted towards the end, or were we accepting or finishing up our stories systematically as the days were drawing towards the end of the sprint? If not, why? That's where the retro conversation comes in, and I use a technique such as Maths at Glad or Sailboat, or if it's during Halloween, I can use a themed retro, actually change my Zoom background to have those scary Halloween images, and I come up with a creative way of using pumpkins, to color the background of whatever retro technique I'm using, So if it's Maths at Glad, I use about 30 minutes, right? What made us mad during the sprint? Again, in terms of people, our interactions, in terms of processes, in terms of the tools, in terms of the definition of done. Then I give about, of the 30 minutes, I give about 10 minutes for folks to populate the mirror board under the math column, and I always go incognito, make sure I program the board to be, the mirror board to be incognito, so we avoid groupthink. Then I reveal everybody's answers when everyone must have exhausted their ideas. So there, we keep that aside, then we move on to SAT. What happens during the sprint that we weren't so proud of, but it didn't break the sprint, for example? We would like to capture those two. So that is SAT. Then GLAD, what are the things that made us successful during the sprint? I always get things like had great communication, we had great collaboration, both within the team and externally within the art. So I always get things like that. Then I always get words of appreciation and kudos, and that people appreciating others, thanking them for helping them out to review their code, to pair program and all that good stuff. So we capture all of those under the GLAD column. Then at the end of the 30 minutes, we now zero in on the math and SAT column and say, hey, what can we do better to improve on the process, for example? What can we do better to improve on the tool? Is this tool not working? What other tools are out there, for example? So it all depends on what is under the math and the SAT column. Then once we capture all those improvement action items, then we now create in Jira an issue and give it an issue type improvement, and then we prioritize that in the product backlog. Like an example of an improvement action item that I recall was during the sprint, one of the things that made the team sad was our completion rate at one time was about 60%, and then we did a kind of a root cause analysis and discovered that it was because there was a lot of delay in reviewing our PRs, in getting our PRs, pull requests reviewed and merged by sister teams within the art. So one retro action item was get one of the engineers within the team to get trained on how to review and merge some very simple PRs. So we took that action item and then we created an issue for it and assigned it to the engineer that volunteered to get trained on how to review and merge PRs for the rest of the team members. So in this video, I've shared with you how I run my retrospective. Let me know in the comments how you run your retrospectives in your environment as well. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss out on any future videos I release. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Bye.